Every day, life seems to wear us down in subtle but powerful ways. We spend hours scrolling through perfectly curated social media feeds, chasing images of success that feel out of reach. We keep up with trends and distractions to dodge our real problems, and yet something feels off, like we're carrying a weight that shouldn't be there. The ancient Stoics believed that the source of our struggle isn't the busy world around us, but rather the weaknesses in our own minds. 2,000 years ago, when life was filled with uncertainty and harsh realities, thinkers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius took a long, hard look at what makes us weak. They discovered that mental weakness isn't something we're born with. It comes from the choices we make every day. When we depend on others for our self-worth, complain about every setback, or confuse what we truly need with shallow wants, we create cracks in our mental strength. This isn't about blaming yourself or feeling guilty for having bad days. Rather, it's about noticing the warning signs of a failing mind. A mind that has become too comfortable for its own good. Every time you seek approval from others or let a small failure knock you off balance, you're giving away a little bit of your inner power. The Stoics saw these habits as red flags, clear signs that our minds are not as strong as they could be. Hi, I'm Jason, and over the next few sections we're going to look at 4 specific warning signs that show when you might be leaning toward mental weakness. These red flags are not meant to shame you, but to help you recognize where you can grow stronger. We'll explain what these habits look like in everyday life and share practical advice inspired by Stoic wisdom. With each step, you'll see how you can repair those cracks and build a more resilient mind. The goal here is not to be perfect. It's to become more aware of the choices you make and to start choosing strength over weakness. Imagine that instead of constantly seeking praise or avoiding any kind of discomfort, you learn to trust your own judgment and handle life's challenges head-on. That's what the Stoics were all about. What about you? 1. Comfort will ruin your life. We're conditioned to seek quick fixes. Many of us check our phones the moment we feel even a slight sense of boredom or discomfort. A person might end self-reflection after only a couple of minutes because they can't stand being alone with their thoughts. Someone on a diet might break their fast at the first pang of hunger, and a writer may throw away a draft after receiving a hint of criticism. All these reactions point to a common problem: an inability to sit with discomfort. For the Stoics, discomfort was not something to avoid at all costs. They believed that real growth comes from facing and enduring challenges head-on. Instead of treating discomfort as a glitch that needs fixing immediately, they saw it as a signal that you are alive and that you have an opportunity to build inner strength. Seneca once wrote that you commit a kind of crime against yourself when you refuse to endure the natural challenges of life, because these challenges are what make us stronger. The ancient Stoics practiced disciplined habits known as ascesis to train their minds and bodies. They would deliberately do uncomfortable things, fasting to appreciate food, sleeping on hard surfaces to value a soft bed, and even practicing poverty to understand the real meaning of wealth. By voluntarily choosing discomfort, they built resilience. Epictetus summed it up simply: if something isn't quite right, say your coffee is too bitter, adjust it, but don't complain. Instead, learn to work with what nature has given you. In our modern culture, avoiding discomfort is almost seen as normal. We have apps that provide instant gratification, and if something makes us uneasy, we often look for an immediate escape. Whether that means binge-watching shows to avoid loneliness or scrolling through social media to dodge a challenging emotion. Yet studies have shown that learning to tolerate negative feelings actually builds our emotional muscle. The more you practice sitting with discomfort, the less power it has over you. If you find yourself constantly jumping from one distraction to another at the slightest hint of unease, it might be a sign that you're not letting your mind do the hard work it needs to do. Instead of running from discomfort, try to lean into it. Use those moments as opportunities to reflect, learn, and ultimately grow stronger. By doing so, you stop letting restlessness rule your life and start taking control of your inner world. 2. Don't let others define you. Have you ever caught yourself checking your phone repeatedly, waiting for new likes or comments on a photo? Maybe you've found that your mood soars when someone agrees with your opinion, or that you change your views just to fit in with the group. These habits are all about seeking external validation, that deep need for approval from others to feel worthy. In everyday life, it might show up as basing your self-esteem on the number of likes on social media, on praise from your boss, or even on high grades at school. When your happiness depends on what other people think, you're giving away your power. The ancient Stoics recognized this exact problem. They divided the world into two parts: the things you can control, your choices, your values, and your judgments, and the things you can't control, other people's opinions, wealth, fame, and even your reputation. Seneca called this vulnerability the disease of admiration. When you let the applause of others, whether it's likes on a post or compliments in conversation, become the oxygen that fuels your self-worth, you are setting yourself up for constant disappointment. After all, no one else can decide your true value. Epictetus, who once lived as a slave and learned strength through hardship, made it clear, if you want to improve, be ready for others to think you're foolish or silly. In other words, you should not base your self-esteem on what other people think. Instead, your value should come from your character and the way you act. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal that your worth is determined by your inner qualities, not by the cheers or jeers of those around you. When you rely on external validation, every compliment or criticism affects you deeply. The moment you base your happiness on someone else's approval, you lose the freedom to be your true self. By shifting your focus inward and valuing your own actions and character, you reclaim that power. And so, try celebrating your own small wins instead of waiting for others to notice. Over time, you'll find that your inner strength grows and the need for constant external approval fades away. 3. Stop complaining. Have you ever noticed someone who spends most of their time complaining? Think about the co-worker who always gripes about management decisions, the friend who endlessly talks about how lonely they feel, or even the person who rants about politics from the comfort of their living room but never takes any steps to change things. Constant complaining can become a habit, a way of life where you focus on problems instead of solutions. According to Stoic wisdom, this habit of complaining is not only unproductive, but actually weakens your mental strength. The Stoics believed that many of our problems come from focusing on things that we can't control. When you spend your time blaming others or whining about your situation, you lose sight of the fact that you have the power to act. Seneca once told a friend, "You cry about things you claim are forced upon you, but they are not forced, they are permitted." In other words, your complaints often come from a choice to let circumstances dictate your mood. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who faced wars, plagues, and personal loss, wrote that every obstacle can be turned into an opportunity. When you encounter a problem, the resilient mind asks, "What can I do next?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" This simple shift in perspective transforms complaints into action. Instead of getting stuck in a cycle of negativity, you can learn to use difficulties as stepping stones for growth. The reality is that complaining is like a habit that slowly eats away at your mental energy. When you constantly focus on what's wrong, you give away your power to feel better. Over time, this not only makes you feel worse, but also stops you from taking action to improve your situation. Instead of wasting energy on complaints, try to direct that energy towards solving the problem. Whether it's addressing a mistake at work, reaching out to a friend for support, or even changing your routine, taking action is the antidote to chronic complaining. A more resilient approach is to adopt what the Stoics call amor fati, or the love of fate, accepting whatever happens, good or bad, as part of life. When something doesn't go your way, rather than spending hours asking, "Why me?" focus on what you can do next. This proactive mindset not only frees you from the burden of constant blame, but also helps you build a stronger, more capable mind. Remember, every time you choose action over complaint, you are taking a small step toward building a life where you are in control, no matter what comes your way. 4. You are stuck in the past. Many of us get stuck either reliving past mistakes or worrying endlessly about what might happen tomorrow. An entrepreneur might lie awake at night replaying a failed pitch from years ago. A student might obsess over an exam that is still weeks away, or a parent might mourn the days when their child was younger while missing out on the present moments of joy. This fixation on either what's already happened or what might occur in the future is a major sign of mental weakness. The Stoics believed that such preoccupation with time is a big mistake. They taught that by constantly living in the past or the future, we miss the only moment we truly have, the present. Seneca warned us that you live as if you will live forever, and that by waiting for tomorrow, you lose today. Instead of getting lost in regrets or worries, the wise focus on the now. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Don't let the future disturb you. You will meet it with the same weapons of reason that arm you against the present." In plain terms, don't let what might happen take away your ability to act in the moment. When you're busy worrying about a future event or stuck ruminating over a past error, you are essentially giving away your power. Modern science supports this idea. Our brain's default mode network, which activates when we daydream or dwell on the past, is linked to lower levels of happiness. Conversely, when we are fully present, we often experience what psychologists call a flow state, a condition of deep focus and fulfillment. Living in the past or future is like being caught in a time trap. Instead of engaging with life as it happens, you're lost in memories or fears, and this only makes you feel more powerless. The resilient mind learns to plant its flag in the present moment. It understands that the past is gone and the future hasn't arrived yet. What you have is now, and that is where you can take action, make decisions, and experience life fully. To break free from the tyranny of time, try practicing mindfulness. This means focusing your attention on what is happening right now, whether it's the taste of your morning coffee, the sound of a loved one's voice, or even your own steady breathing. By grounding yourself in the present, you stop giving your power to past regrets or future fears. Instead, you reclaim it for the actions and choices you can make today. This shift not only reduces anxiety, but also strengthens your ability to face whatever comes next with a clear and focused mind. Stoicism doesn't condemn the fact that we all have moments of weakness. In fact, the red flags we've talked about, needing others' approval, fearing challenges, falling into the habit of constant complaining, living in the past or future, and avoiding discomfort, are part of being human. But the key lesson is that these weaknesses are not fixed. They come from our choices, and every day we have a chance to choose differently. Think of each red flag as a wake-up call. When you find yourself craving compliments or social media likes, pause and ask, what value do I hold inside myself? When you face adversity and feel like hiding, remind yourself that challenges are opportunities to build strength. If you catch yourself complaining instead of taking action, shift your focus to what you can do to improve the situation. And if your mind is wandering in the past or worrying about the future, bring yourself back to the here and now. Finally, when discomfort arises, lean into it instead of running away. The Stoics taught that real strength is built one small, deliberate choice at a time. Every moment that you choose to act from within, rather than reacting to the world around you, you add a brick to the fortress of your mind. As Seneca famously said near the end of his life, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you stop wasting your energy on what you can't control and start using it to build inner resilience, you begin to transform your weaknesses into strengths. The process isn't about becoming perfect overnight. It's about progress, learning from every setback and using that experience to become more grounded, more present, and more in charge of your own life. In the end, you have a choice: to cower in fear and let life pass you by, or to face every moment with a steady mind and a strong heart. The red flags will always be there as reminders, but with each conscious decision to improve, you light a torch that makes those shadows shrink away. The power to build a strong, unshakable mind is in your hands, one choice at a time. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Let's strive to live better, more respectful lives. Until next time, stay strong and stay stoic.